Hi, hello, Hana. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I guess you are enjoying your holidays right now.
Yes, of course, I'm chilling after all the hard work that I put in for like the past 3 years.
No, that's great. I'm really glad that you came to the end. It has been a pleasure to have you in the degree. Just wanted to say congratulations for achieving this. And yeah, and what are you up to now these days?
For now, obviously, like you said, I'm chilling, but in my own time, I'm still creating pieces. So I just help myself build that portfolio that I need to do because I'm still inspired every single day. So I'm trying to grow that portfolio of mine as well.
And when thinking about your portfolio, what kind of skills are you trying to improve, or what kind of things are you right now working on?
A lot of it is 3D modeling because that's where my interest lies. So I'm trying to, experiment with different programs. Like Unreal Engine is good. Unity as well, further enhance that as well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, there's a lot of going on with Unreal, no, these days. Yeah. So, are you working right now with Unreal? Have you got any project yourself?
Not as of this moment because I'm just starting to understand the basis of Unreal Engine before I actually delve into it, and then sooner or later, hopefully, I can really put myself into that work.
Well, I think it would be great to have a look at your piece. We can kind of have a look at the gallery. Now, this is one of these galleries we have done in Spatial. The design is by one of my colleagues, Glenn Watts. Is basically the building, the Media City building where we do the majority of the class. And if I remember correctly, Hana is there. I put you, yeah, and here I have some of your pieces. I really like your logo, by the way.
Thank you. It was
Yeah.
really hard to actually make that logo because I was like so confused on what could really identify myself as, but eventually I got there.
So it is like, how did you get the inspiration for that one? I'm going to show that.
I was like trying to make something so sleek, but very, it looked like it was part of like game design or maybe 3D environment, something that was abstract, but a little bit edgy as well. So what I just did was, well, try and connect the both letters
Yeah.
together so it looked like a complete logo. I think I have another one too that I also use on the side.
Yeah, this other one is also nice. It kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of something a little more like Egyptian or something like that. I think it's one of your passions, the
yeah,
Egyptian culture.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, no, that's interesting. Maybe I should have rendered that like in two different, like in only one color. So let's have a look at the video itself. I don't know if you could start by describing what is what we have here. What is your experience about?
So this here is the golden age of Islamic conventions. I decided to create a VR experience. So as you can see in the video, like it's my experience of actually going inside the headset and looking around rooms that are inspired by certain inventions. So for like each room, I decided to put a theme. For example, like with the inventions that I did, if it was music, I would have the oud or the instrument or the fiddle, and if it was the library, it would consist of the university, algebra, optics. So each room has its own theme, so it ties in. But yeah, that's what we're currently looking at right now.
So, how many of these? Well, yes, maybe I should comment that this obviously is like your major project. So, this is like an ambitious project. So, it's not something that you can do in the space of a month or even a couple of months. I guess it took you a while. So,
Yeah.
yes, how ambitious is this? How many rooms are we talking about? How many?
So we're talking about 4 rooms. I think initially my idea was to create 5, but I had to be more realistic with the timing. And creating the rooms wasn't the problem. It's obviously like processing, rendering, all that stuff. So I had to keep that in mind and really link it back to my like time project management, knowing that if anything went wrong, I would still have a very strong, idea and put together concept without it being, too little and too much. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And did you feel like you would like to have done something that you couldn't, that maybe you would need more time, or?
I think, of course, like obviously, if we're going back to the brief, this is pretty much my prototype. It's not extremely finished, but there's so much that I would probably include. For example, one of them would be maybe more sound effects, more like visual effects, like smoke or more ambient lighting, and maybe like a bit of a narration. I think that would be cool instead of just plain music. Really introducing the idea of golden age of Islamic conventions. I think there's obviously a lot to improve on, but I think for the concept, I was quite proud of it. Yeah.
Mhm. No, no, that's great. I mean, I think it's a very very nice piece, and I can see all the complexities that it entails. Can we maybe talk a little more about the concept of this? How you came up with this idea? What are your source of inspiration or something like that?
Of course. So I think obviously, as cliche as it sounds, ever since I was a child, I was really into games and gaming, and so I think as of lately, I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins like 3 years ago, and that video game itself, it has a lot of cultural aspects into it. Obviously, Egypt, and when I was playing it, I was really just taken back about the environment and how it easily captured Egypt, and the fact that it immersed me into playing it more and wanting to know more about the game or more about the culture, it really took a toll on me, and I wanted to make that for myself. I think obviously one of the inspirations about my project is the fact that it's obviously based on Islam, and Islam is a very big part of my life because it's my religion, and it's the fact that I didn't really see that in the modern day world. And I think it's because Muslim countries, they frequently make headlines about the attacks on freedom of expression or education or anything that comes under as like pro-Western. But people don't understand that Islam once embraced these types of in these themes, and in a period of history, scholars, they referred it to the golden age. So they in fact created like the most unique features. So we're talking about algebra, university, the toothbrush, coffee, all these inventions a lot of people don't know that shaped this modern day world came from Muslims. So I wanted to focus on this golden age of Islam, strip away from like the modern surface level of media propagandist ideas of Islam, and give a new insight of what Islam had to offer, and that could obviously influence the modern day. And I think I haven't obviously come across as much Islamic inspired creative projects out there. So instead of seeking it, I wanted to create my own vision for others to admire and delve into. So, hence why I wanted to inform people the origins on such inventions and showcase such a rich history through VR and 3D modeling.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a fascinating concept, and I understand your interest in things like this kind of educational games. I mean, not really educational games, just blockbuster games, but they have certainly some kind of educational effect, and certainly it stimulated your interest on the topic. I mean, I think I remember that the first version of Assassin's Creed was also set up in a period where obviously it's in the Crusades, but it's just that obviously it has evolved so much graphically. I think is it the latest Odyssey or something like that? No,
I think it's Valhalla, and then Odyssey came before.
of
Yeah.
course, yeah. And it's really great that you wanted to do something that in roots with your own history, your personal history as a creator, and your family and your legacy as well. So that's I think it's something great. So thinking in terms a little more technical, what kind of skills you needed to do this? I mean, I can imagine 3D skills. Are these assets all of yours assets?
Yeah, I've created pretty much everything that you see in this video. I think one of the most important thing that I wanted to do with this project is be proud of what I had to achieve. I think there was some times where I was like, I don't really want to do it. Why don't I just import a model? But I overcame that by thinking, I really want to be proud of something that I've created. So with the technical side, a lot of it was 3D modeling. I think you obviously can see that And with the VR aspect that came with Unity, I had to study that a little bit more. But yeah, a lot of the skill came through 3D modeling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. And then you work on some kind of game engine, I guess. You were working with Unity.
Unity 3D.
Yeah, so it is like VR templates in Unity, basically, that you were working on. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of the navigation or the design of the experience, were you inspired by any particular product, any kind of educational tool, or I don't know, other VR experiences?
I did know about VR itself, but in terms of inspiration through my project, I didn't really have any. No, I just wanted to create that experience. Surprisingly, yeah, I didn't have any inspiration through that.
Yeah, I see. I see. What did you think it was most challenging aspect of this?
There were obviously a lot of challenges that came across that I had to, overcome. One being the fact that, talking technical, Blender has this thing where it has vectors, and if you have too many of them, they might load longer than you probably anticipated for onto, the game engine Unity 3D. So I was there waiting, countless hours for it to load in, and then I realized that I had to remodel certain things, change a whole room completely so that I could, simply load it into a gaming engine. So through that, I took, note that in the future I won't do that. Have to be more cautious about that. Another thing was Unity itself. It was obviously fairly new to me. I was just trying to really observe and learn more about Unity itself. But obviously, with the VR plugins that you have, there can come challenges where you have to know where certain things have to be put in and certain things have to be applied in what area, in what time. And I think that was the most challenging part in Unity itself. Yeah. The way I see it, especially in the professional world, a lot is focused on Unity 3D as well as, Unreal Engine. But I think Blender is like the basis of that, but Unity 3D is something that should be definitely focused on. If I had more, experience in that, I feel like I would have been extremely more comfortable with experimenting with Unity. I think that's the main problem of obviously a pro as well in digital media. Like there's obviously new things coming out, and I think as a digital media student or professional, you have to keep up with these certain softwares. So luckily they all kind of are similar and they have similar tools. But I think that's something that you yourself have to kind of adapt if you're going into this type of field.
Oh no, totally. I say always the same anecdote, but the kind of tools I was, introduced in my degree, it was things like freehand and Corel Draw and things like that. And this is totally archaeology of software. They don't exist anymore. We remember that it wasn't about software; it was about design, and that was our degree was about. And I think trying to transmit that same philosophy, to be software agnostic in that sense, like trying to make the people to adapt to the different tools and to think, okay, it's about creative problems and how to sort out those creative problems, and these are the tools today, but tomorrow there might be slightly different tools, no? It has been great to catch up with you. Thank you very much for being part of these campfire talks.
Thank you for taking me on to this talk. I really appreciate it.
Do you want to share your contacts in case anybody wants to have a look at your portfolio, contact you, or anything?
Yeah. So obviously my email will probably be presented on. Obviously I'm also found on LinkedIn mostly, and yeah, and I also have my own website, so you can find anything you want to see there.
Okay.
My work too.
So right now you are looking for new opportunities as a freelancer, as a creative practitioner in the areas of 3D design, I guess, 3D environments, XR experiences, these kind of things. Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you very much then, Hannah, and I'll see you around soon. Hope.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.